on to the third one. And the third customer that I like to talk about, and this one's really unique. I don't know how to ask the question, so I'm going to kind of talk about. I guess what I'll do is I'll talk about the scenario, and then you can grab the ball and run with it. But it had to do with personas, and this customer was really unique because it had two clearly defined personas. It had what we define internally in the house as tier one and tier two. I guess a layman's view would be expensive and luxury and inexpensive, or non-luxury. Uh, but the problem was is that, well, I'm not going to talk about the problem. Do you remember the customer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you take it on and explain exactly what the challenge was, and how AI was able to kind of approach the challenge and correct the issue they were seeing?
Yeah, so this was a giant actually, and I think the problem is we don't understand the different personas. There's a lot of research into it, but really, what's the persona, and what is a persona? They people term folks that are looking for, say, luxury items, or somebody that's an impulse buyer, or someone looking for promotions and discounts. Uh, a researcher. There's people who just love to research before they buy. So there's different types of personas that have been identified, and I think this e-tailer was thinking about it as, it just makes sense to have people. They'll either pay for something, or they're willing to pay a lot and get a high price item, or they would like to go for something that's more of a bargain. They divided it into a couple of categories. So they asked us if we could handle two, and we said, actually we can handle several, because for us every customer is their own category. And if I kind of put myself in that seat, I find that I'm definitely a tier one buyer for electronics, but I'm probably a tier 100 buyer for t-shirts. And so I said, you can't even pin my persona on me, because I'm a changeling myself. So how do you actually, how do we do this, and how do we understand? And then as we worked with almost 1 million shoppers over a long period of time. We found that sometimes shoppers say that, look, I'm not even buying for myself. I'm buying for my brother, or I'm buying for a friend. I can only buy so many items for myself, but I'm buying all these gifts. So then the persona doesn't even hold, because it's how they see the other person. So we realized that that it's we had to really understand what the different personas are. Having said that, we found you can, at a granular level, identify about 40 different shopper personas. They hold for some period of time, or they hold for a user. But even breaking it down into that, there's the ability for you to set up your window shops. We talked about the window shops earlier, but can you set up a window shop for each persona and guide that persona to that window shop for that particular category? So that itself becomes something interesting. We talked about filters. Filters also become very interesting, and based on personas, because if both of us refine the search for a blue shirt, we probably need different filters. And finally, even the ads themselves have to fit into personas. So you may want some catch-all ads, but the moment the user lands on the site, you have to redirect them by persona. So the ad landing also becomes something that AI plays a crucial role. The other thing about it is, it's not a one-time thing. You can't just say blue shirts, I ran my ad, and let them come here. You got to tweak it every day for most retailers, and for some retailers many times a day, because you for the very large retailers, you have different groups of people buying at different times. So if there's folks that actually get on the first time, as soon as they go into the office, they switch on the site and see what they can pick up. And there's folks that will never shop in the office. So you get different groups of people. There's folks that potentially shop at lunchtime, and there's kids who are going to be looking for stuff once school is over. So you definitely get different groups of people that shop, and there's weekday shoppers, weekend shoppers. So there is an understanding of shopper preferences, choices, and so you need an automated system that can build this intelligence, enforce it, tweak it, tune it, and make this more effective. So we first thing we did is we played back to them what their customer personas were. We took the data from them, we analyzed it and said, this is what's going on. This is what we feel. This is the number of personas you have on site, and this is the strategy we would advise for each of them. And you know what? We can automatically take care of it. Um, and So even though this was a success, I feel um, it's not enough because it's not just 40 personas. There are more than 100, and there is a continuum between them. And it's very hard to lock a user into a persona. So the AI needs to have this ability to forget and remember based on context. So there's still a lot of work to do, and I think there's a lot of change that's going to happen, especially with the amount of information coming in from generative AI. But we were able to take this customer through the journey, and especially given the size of their catalog and the number of transactions per second. All this has to happen. This AI has to happen with split second latency. So there's a lot of pre-work the AI needs to do to deliver a good solution. But overall, I feel I would give ourselves maybe not an A+, but I think there's room for improvement, especially because personas are changing for users so dramatically.